It's time now for the news review segment where we get to have a conversation on some of the topical issues dominating the media space or the news cycle, if you like. This morning joining me in studio, we have Elvis Dakon. He's the editor of the News Center newspaper, newscenter.com. Good morning, Elvis. Good
morning.
to see you. We have Ibrahim Ajay as well, a former assistant secretary, office of the former president of the Republic. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning, Nana.
Good to have you as well. I'm good.
Very well.
I'm good. Okay, so it's safe to say belated Happy Father's Day, right?
Yes.
they never talk about us.
But Nana, I have this thing. You're never too late.
Right.
To wish somebody well.
Exactly.
You can never be. It never expires.
Yeah, it never expires.
So you're on time.
Very well.
Yeah.
Grateful. But how come they never talk about us?
Who
There's so much noise about the Father's Day.
They do.
No, who should talk
The
about you?
women, they should talk about us.
Why should the women talk about you? Did they prevent you from talking about yourself? Have the women prevented men from talking about
No,
themselves?
but you see, the thing is about we can't make as much noise as they can.
This is the problem. You see, where is Mother's Day? You are the men. You, the men, are the one who make the noise. But when it's your turn, you don't make noise. You say woman should come and make noise for you.
Well, since we made
Woman
for them.
didn't force you to come and make noise when it was Mother's Day.
Is it?
It's you who found the importance of a woman.
Right.
And then you made noise.
Okay.
So
the
men
way
must
you are
learn-
going,
Men must. You see, you cannot.
the
say
woman will be
somebody should
excited
tell
with
you-
all this morning.
Yeah, should let us to come and tell your good story for you. Tell your good story. Men can tell a lot of stories about themselves. But because men think that, somebody have to sing their praises for them. See,
Yeah.
naturally you have to understand. That's how it's supposed to
one of
be.
those
Yeah,
stories.
man must tell the story of a woman. If we want our stories to be told, we should learn how to tell the stories ourselves, okay? Men forget that, see, when children are born, okay? Children from birth have a connection with their mother from the beginning. Because they slept in the mother's stomach for 9 months.
Exactly.
So they have a direct connection.
Yeah.
The man thinks that my duty is to provide for the house. So he's so busy trying to provide for the house.
Yeah.
Most of the time, we find it difficult to build that relationship between us and the kids.
children. Yeah.
We don't really make that quality time to spend with the kid for them to know that despite our busy schedules, we also love them just like their mothers do. And as a result of that, most children will have an affection for their parents because, first of all, aside sleeping in their mother's stomach for 9 months, with a direct connection, they suck their mother's breast.
Yeah.
And then when you go do all the hard work and they say, it's time for school fees, you give the money to the woman in the bedroom, tomorrow go and pay the school fees.
Right.
So in the morning, you carry the children to school to go and pay the school fees. When I say buy a new dress, so take the money, I'm busy. You have given the money when the children are not there. You are gone.
Yeah.
You took the children to the market and buy the things for them. The children are seeing that their mother is the one that's provided everything, not you.
Yeah.
Can't you make time and take your children to school and pay the school fees for them to do that? You are the one paying. Can't you make time to take your children to the market to shop for them? Daddy takes us for shopping. So see, men focus on providing for the house and forget that there are little things that we need to do for our children to see that our daddies also care about us.
True.
The woman is the one preparing the food that they are eating every day.
True.
The woman is the one that is waking up and preparing them for school. Basically, most men, our focus is that I must be interested in where I'll go and get the daily, which is very good. But as if you focus so much on that, and you don't create
that connection
between you and the kids. When it is Mother's Day, the kids will all be interested in celebrating their mother because they have that affection. When it is Father's Day, because you are always waking up at dawn, going and coming, and they don't see you taking them to go and buy things for them in the market. You are not the one paying school fees. You are not the one bathing them and taking them to school and the rest. That affection that they have for their mother may not be there for you.
Exactly.
So the noise about Mother's Day is not always about because they are mother. Sometimes you are crying, but on Mother's Day, you celebrate your mother because of the affection you have with your mother. But when it's Father's Day, because that connection is not there, you yourself don't have that feeling of celebrating your father. So if it happens and you are complaining, that we are the problem.
We should start a new show. Boys with a Anyways, let's get into our business of the day. We want to go to the U.S. Briefly because Donald Trump is considering adding Ghana and 35 others to a travel ban list. I'm reading from citynewsroom.com. The United States is considering restricting entry to citizens of an additional 36 countries in what would be a significant expansion of the travel ban announced by the Trump administration early this month, according to a State Department memo reviewed by the Washington Post. Among the new list of countries that could face visa bans or other restrictions are 25 African nations, including significant U.S. partners such as Egypt and Djibouti, plus countries in the Caribbean, Central Asia, and several Pacific Island nations. A State Department spokesperson said the agency would not comment on internal deliberations or communications. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Obviously, I'll start with you. I've seen that you've carried a story on this, and especially those living in the States illegally and what it means for them. Clearly, there's a danger ahead.
Well, I don't know how you describe danger ahead.
We say
we are all sovereign countries. The sovereign countries do things that are in the interest of their country.
Yeah.
I've been searching and I found some of the reasons why they are adding these 36 countries. At least we have 60 days to meet their demands.
Right.
And per additional information that I have seen, they have submitted or have had discussions with countries based on what they expect each country or why they want to put them on the ban.
Yeah.
So as I'm sitting, I'm sure in my mind that the Foreign Affairs Minister knows exactly why we are being added to that list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the issues that they have, the memo says they are calling for media to address shortcomings in border control data and vetting systems or risk-facing visa restrictions or outright bans. Some of the concerns are lack of a competent or cooperative government by some of the countries listed to produce reliable identity documents. Do you know what that means? I'll come back to them.
Well.
Some countries are not cooperative in facilitating the removal of its nationals from the United States who are ordered to be removed.
Right.
Nationals of the countries were involved in acts of terrorism in the United States or anti-Semitism and anti-American activities. The Department of State is committed to protecting their nation and its citizens. So let me come to the first one that I mentioned, lack of a competent or cooperative government by some of the countries listed to produce reliable identity documents.
Right.
The first ban that came, the U.S. government released a long list of countries and the number of their citizens that are on ICE lists for deportation.
Right.
In that list, the number of Ghanaians on that list to be deported is 3,228.
You don't say.
Yeah. The ICE list, as at the beginning of the year, in January when the U.S. released it, 3,228 Ghanaians are on the ICE list to be deported. What this means is that there's people that are to be deported. Most of them, or many of them, have thrown away documentation as to who they are. But because they entered the country with visas and the rest, the U.S. knows which countries' passports they use to enter the country.
Right.
So they are able to determine that these are the people who entered the U.S. with Ghanaian passports. So they are Ghanaians. Right. Because a passport is issued to only citizens of a country. So if they are on ICE list and they are to be deported, they need documents that will enable them to travel back to Ghana. These documents are to be issued by Ghana to them because their passports are either expired or some of them don't actually have. But because they have their data, because they control their visa system, they know that this person came in with a Ghanaian passport. So they ask countries that produce documents, what you call a travel document, either passport or travel document, for these people so that they can be deported back to the countries they came from, per their passport of travel. What this means is that Ghana is supposed to produce documents for these 3,288 people. The suspicion I have is that Ghana is refusing to produce the documents for these people to enable America to deport them. Because as a country, we also have the right to say we will not provide a document.
Right.
And by the UN convention, you can't deport anybody without a travel document. You can't send anybody to a country without a travel document. It's not a travel document to determine which specific country the person is being sent to. So if Ghana refuses to provide the people documentation, what it means is that the U.S. can't deport them. So the people are remaining in ICE detention and becoming crisis for the country. Yeah. And I believe that is one reason why Ghana is on that list. Okay. I believe this is why we are on the list. And see, people will give the excuse that about many of those people may not be Ghanaians. The American doesn't know who is a Ghanaian or who is not a Ghanaian. Once you travel in Ghanaian passport, you are a Ghanaian. Well. So if our passport system is so weak for nationals of other countries to access it and travel with it, the American doesn't know who is a Ghanaian, Burkina, Nigeria, or anything. What he knows is that you entered with a passport from Ghana. And passports are issued to citizens of the country. Only citizens of the country use a passport. So for them, it's the passport the person has entered the country with. So if the person entered America with a Ghanaian passport, whether it's another national who has come for Ghanaian passport, the U.S. can only deport that person to Ghana, because of that. And because the person's passport is expired, or the person has thrown it away, though their system show that the person came in with a Ghanaian passport, the person cannot return to Ghana without any paper in hand. So Ghana government will be required to the foreign ministry, and the embassies in the U.S. to provide these people with the necessary documentation, either a new passport or what they call a travel document to bring them back. And I believe Ghana is not doing this. That is why they are adding this to the travel ban.
Very well.
The second one is about the anti-Semitism and anti-American activities and terrorism. I don't believe that Ghana is being added to this in terrorism, but I believe that anti-Semitism will may be added. What they call anti-Semitism is there are groups in the U.S. that have been put on U.S. national security list as groups that are doing everything possible to make America unstable. Okay. They said the intention of these groups in the U.S. is to turn U.S. into a chaotic state. That is what the Security Institute of America have identified. And there are several groups that have identified. These groups most of the times are found participating in demonstrations. And they believe that those demonstrations are meant to destabilize the U.S. So for instance, when the Palestinian-Israeli war was going on, there were a lot of demonstrations on student school campuses in the U.S. We have 9,394 Ghanaians studying in various universities in the U.S. So in the event that any of these students participated in those demonstrations on university campuses, which the American government has described as anti-Semitism actions, because they believe that those organizing those demonstrations across university campuses are the very groups that they have labeled as anti-Semitism groups who wants to destabilize the US. America. So if a Ghanaian participated in this demonstration, what it will mean is that the person is part of the group that wants to destabilize America. You see, the demonstration will be the one everybody knows, but the security apparatus of the US, they know why people are doing this. So a Ghanaian student may innocently think that, oh, maybe I support the cause of the reason for this demonstration and participate in it. But then they don't know that there are undertones in it. And for participating in that demonstration, the Ghanaian students may be deemed as part of those who are trying to destabilize America. I have no information whether some Ghanaian students participated, but I'm saying that in terms of the anti-Semitism, in case any Ghanaian student took part in some of these demonstrations on school campuses, then they will be deemed as people who are participating in anti-Semitism. For me, really the reason, I think these are the two main reasons I think America is trying to do, because they want to deport the people who are on ICE lists out of the country.
But they don't know which country to send them to because
of the issues of documentation. So if Ghana is refusing to provide the documentation to them, then they are bringing the travel ban to force the government of Ghana to provide the documents to be able to deport these people. Between 2021 and 2024, 258 Ghanaians were deported from the U.S. For various offenses such as criminal and other things, or overstay of their documentations. So we should understand that Ghana government needs to also consider some of these things. there are no reliable figures, but it's estimated that we may have between 30 to 50,000 Ghanaians who are living in the U.S. illegally.
Right.
We have those who are living legally amounting to almost 300,000 in the U.S. currently. But it is expected that, or it's estimated that there are about 30 to 50,000 who are living there illegally. In the U.S., you can live there illegally for 20 years if you don't have problem with the law for them to find out what your documentation. There are many people who are living in the U.S. who don't have any document. But until you have problem with the law, nobody is going to deal with you. But the Trump administration has brought in further stringent measures until the Trump administration came in and brought in this new demand of wherever you are going, carry your documentation around. It was not there. So you can be in the U.S. for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, and you have no documentation because nobody is going to meet you on the street and ask you of your document. But per the new directive of this Trump administration, for people to carry their documentation, law means that if you are met in town, any immigration official can ask you your citizenship or your document, whether you are legal in the U.S.
Thank you, Elvis. Ibrahim, let me come to you. So basically, I mean, the reasons will fall under three main categories. Lack of cooperation in deportations, security concerns, diplomatic friction. So it's time for, I mean, not even time as far as it's long overdue that the ministry engages properly so that whatever list it is, if we want to be taken off, we do our best to engage properly because the reasons have now been listed, so we know what it is.
Well, when you say want to be taken off, we're not officially there yet. We're being considered.
Exactly.
So let's frame it in the reality. Ghana is not on the list.
On the list.
It is among 36 other countries
that are being considered for placement.
As it is, hence
in the next 60 days.
60 days.
60 days to comply. The fact that you comply or don't comply doesn't mean you will be then automatically on the list.
No, but per the communication, if you don't comply,
sure,
you automatically on the list.
I understand. But let's...
So time is of the essence.
Sure, but let's situate it properly. Because you're saying that time is long overdue. The thing came out only last week.
Yes,
so
but I'm sure these engagements have been ongoing.
No, that is what the statement said, that they've been engaging for a long time.
Exactly. A long time being what? 6 months?
Yes.
Well, since
he's been in power since January 20th, am I right? So when we say long time, let's be factual. If we say long time, we throw it out in the air as if it's rooted in fact. Give me your proof that they've been engaging since January. I don't believe that on January the 20th, when President Trump was inaugurated, that was the first thing on his agenda. Yes, he mentioned it during the campaign, but let's understand the reality. If they've now been engaging, and remember, the first countries they did were the 12, Afghanistan and some other countries, Cuba, am I right? Yes. So let's understand. I'm not trying to dilute the question, but I want us to frame it properly. As if, hey, Charlie, we've been sitting down, not doing anything. When were we given notice? Then you say, but they've been having backroom discussions. When? Right. We talk as if we know the fact. The State Department
letter doesn't say, or the memo doesn't say exactly when.
I would imagine maybe around March or thereabouts. Why do I say so? Because you can situate the declaration of the 12 countries, Afghanistan, Iran, Cuba, and other countries, that only came on June the 12th. But anyway, to your issue that we want to talk about. Yes, I mean, it's for Ghana to do the necessary to fulfill the obligations that another sovereign country wants in terms of entry permits. It happens over the whole world. Likewise, other visitors to Ghana have to fulfill certain immigration requirements.
True.
I don't see anything wrong in it at all. Maybe because it's President Trump, we're looking at it differently. But every country has that sovereign right to say that for X, Y, and Z, we want you to come legally. Remember 3 weeks ago, we were on this program, and we were talking about the Nigerians, not Nigerians, Nigerians, who we rounded up and deported. Am I right?
True.
And I said that we have nothing against Nigerians, but come via the proper routes, apply properly, then we won't round you up and send you. Because Ghana is known for being hospitable. So if we are doing it to Nigerians, why should we suddenly play double standards when America says it wants us to follow certain rules? Nobody should have any issue with this. You may say that it's discriminatory. Yes, there's arguments for that because it's largely the global south. There may be other countries in the, the Far East, who may not be, who may be on par with what they think is missing in Ghana, in Togo and other countries. And beyond being compliant, one of the main reasons that those who are on J visas, and I think B1 visas, are overstaying. And they've given you the percentages. So again, understand that when you're a Ghanaian and you go to another country, you are an ambassador for Ghana. How you behave or misbehave will reflect upon everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you have to understand you're an ambassador. When you overstay and you think you've done the system or you've cheated the system, you're cheating the rest of us who also want that same
Exactly. You are denying someone else an opportunity.
You're denying. So work with the law. And what Ghanaians generally need to understand, just like with any national who travels abroad,
right?
When you comply with the rules, you're given 6 months. Go and stay, or 1 year, go and stay, come back. When you reapply, the chances of you being accepted are extraordinarily higher.
Yeah.
Maybe 90-95%. I'm just plugging a figure out of my head. Because you show that when we allow you to visit, you visit and come back. So when you reapply again, you'll get it. Inshallah, maybe you'll even get a multiple visa. So these are some of the lessons that we, as Ghanaians, nationals generally, need to abide by. But the story of America is somewhat a tragedy. And I'll explain why. You have the Choctaw, the Apache, the Sioux, the Delaware. When you hear the word Delaware, it's not a state, it's an American native tribe. Okay? Then you have the Cherokee. I mean, there are hundreds of tribes who were, if you will, ethnically cleansed by the Europeans. And today, you have the gall, the audacity to tell the indigenes, and generally the ICE that Elvis mentioned, they're going for the Mexicans, the Venezuelans, the Hondurans, you know, I'm talking the natives, not the Spanish who are now, you know, let's say naturalized citizens. I'm talking the indigenous, you know, Navajos, you know, the Mayan, you know, all that area, Machu Picchu and co, you know, the Aztec people, the people of the Aztec ancestry, as in Mexico. How the tragedy of America is that these Europeans, having killed you, murdered you, raped you, taken over your land by force, are now telling you that you can't come back into your own ancestral homes. That's the tragedy of America. But God is God, inshallah. You know, the majority of, I think, Americans don't think the way this Trump administration is thinking. You know, very xenophobic in parts. Trump has his good points, you know, and I like him for so many things. But because you like somebody for so many things doesn't mean you have to accept the other thing as well. Be truthful, you know, and there'll be politicians and diplomats who will play that card. They don't want to offend. Trump doesn't mind offending you. Give it back to him. And tell him exactly how you feel. 12 countries have so far reciprocated and banning Americans before they had visa-free travel to those countries. But now Americans have to apply for
a visa.
Yeah, it's not a ban on America, but go through the same process. Because America, as I said, they have every right to say we want some decorum, some order, so that we know that those who are coming are following certain rules and regulations. But that is a tragedy of America. We pray that in time, those whose land, and in this one I include Canada, sometimes you talk of America as if that's where only the native American, when I say the native tribes, they're not Americans. America is named after a Portuguese called Amerigo. It was not discovered, but we hear the stories of how the Vikings in time also sojourned there, like the way Christopher Columbus did. He sojourned there, again, funded by Queen Isabella, okay? So let's say it was sojourned by Christopher Columbus, from where you get the name DC, District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., Christopher Columbus, named by Vespuccio Amerigo, a Portuguese. So when we say Native Americans, I beg you, sometimes the nomenclature have to, the indigenous tribes of America and their descendants, who you find everywhere within the South American continental area, have absolute right to be in those countries. Absolute right. Absolute right. I mean, you have an inherent right, a God-given right, that where your umbilical cord was cut, that land belongs to you. it's not in my mouth to now rephrase history. But moving forward, this is what I think right-minded people, and by that I mean the European Americans, African Americans, okay, South American natives, who really have a title, historically, spiritually, to those lands, can work together to somehow disabuse the minds of the xenophobes in America that this land is theirs. It's never your land. You are squatters. They should understand that. And you're squatters by conquest and theft and killing and marauding and raping and murdering. All those things were visited upon the indigenous tribes of America and Canada, the Inuits.
Right.
So that's this tragedy. When I read this and I'm thinking, can you imagine somebody coming to Africa and then deporting all of us, slave trade notwithstanding, and saying, you, Nana, you can't come back to your country because you are not the African enough.
Yeah.
So wherever you came from, maybe now you're living in Southeast Asia, because you've been historically deported from your land. And then a European comes now, is now in your continent, telling you you can't come because your papers aren't correct.
Right.
It's a tragedy. But I believe that I don't want the tragedy to be somehow defined by Trump's era now.
Right.
Because America has a good story to tell. You know, the land of the free and brave, am I right?
Yeah.
America has given so much to the world, which is why the world gravitates to it.
Yeah.
And let's understand that it became a melting pot, or some would say a salad, of humanity working. When you go to New York, I've been to New York several times, and when you see how people interact, it's just beautiful to see that cornucopia, the world in one place. Take out the racism out of it and understand that when we work together, humanity can build something great. And America is a great country.
Very well.
And it's for, as I say, this too shall pass. Administrations will come. And as new administrations come, hopefully we can correct some of the excesses of President Trump's current administration regarding immigration. Other areas of his policy, I'm supporting him. He's very good.
Great. Thank home. Last week, the Attorney General held a press conference giving updates on the oral committee and its work so far, centered on the National Service Authority scandal. And I'll read a story here from ChannelOneNews.com, which says Oware Mensah used national service allowances to obtain 30.6 million Ghana cedis loan from ADB. That's attributed to Dominic Ayene. Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayene, has disclosed that Gifty Oware Mensah, former Deputy Executive Director of the National Service Authority, NSA, masterminded a fraudulent scheme that led to the misappropriation of over 30 million cedis in public funds. Addressing a press conference in Accra on Friday, June 13, Dr. Ayene said the findings are part of ongoing investigations by the Operation Recover All Loot Oral Task Force into financial malfeasance at the NSA. According to the Attorney General, Oware Mensah exploited the National Service Personnel (NSP) allowance system by using it as a security to secure a 30,698,218 cedis, 69 pesos million loan from the Agricultural Development Bank (ADB) at a 23% interest rate. We understand that the state lost a quantum of money owing to this scandal. The Attorney General calls it a criminal enterprise that masterminded this entire thing. Some names have been put out. We await the charges that will be preferred against them. But I'll start with you, Elvis. Were you surprised or alarmed to hear the way the Attorney General put it, this enterprise, their operations, and their figures in there? Did this come out as a surprise to you?
When people are given access to public office, it's not for them to go and embezzle public funds. When a party wins power, I always say that NDC and MPP, when they win power, you can find 100,000 well-qualified people to hold positions in government. But appointments will not even exceed 2,000. So when you are among the privileged, given the opportunity to serve in public office, you are there to protect the public purse and make sure that the nation makes progress. So for me, if any public official is found guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction through due process to have misapplied public money, I have no sympathy for that person. Okay. Ghana law says you are what? Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
The Attorney General who knows this said that has already convicted people by saying that it's a criminal enterprise because it's making pronouncements.
Yeah.
I think if something is a criminal enterprise, it's a suspicion. And I think the Attorney General should be mindful of his words because if you say it's a suspicion, you are investigating. But if you make the pronouncement it's a criminal enterprise, it means that you already determined the fate of the people, you already determined the case. But I think that pronouncement doesn't lie in the mouth of the Attorney General. That pronouncement only lies in the mouth of the court.
The courts.
So I think that the Attorney General is being carried away by the public support, party support and all that. I believe that an Attorney General should not be speaking the way he speaks. I think that the caution should be there. We are journalists, and when we write such story, we are told that we should say allege, we say suspicion, we say accused. We don't make categorical statements as though the person has been found guilty by a court. And that is why I have said that this public press conferences by the Attorney General, if you ask me, it is needless. We need the pronouncements to be made by court, then we can work with it.
You don't think you should be given updates on the cases they are looking into?
Why should you give me an update? What do I need an update for? I need a court to make pronouncement for me to know what you presented to the court is factual or not. You can make allegations against people. States have done investigation against people and they have gone to court and the state lost the cases badly. So the fact that the state says I found A, B, C, D does not mean that I should take it hook, line, and sinker. It's when the court make a pronouncement that the evidence presented by the state against Mr. A or Madam B has been found to be strong enough to convict the person. Then when I'm discussing the issues from that perspective, then I'm discussing something that the court said they found to be what? Good evidence. The fact that you said you have found it does not mean that when you get to the court is going to say that you are right. Because the person that you are making allegation also has a legal team that is supposed to also make their case in court to the judge to make it clear that, oh, we think here is right or wrong. And so for me, in this Fourth Republic, I'm becoming more reserved in terms of discussing such accusations against people. Because I've seen people who accusations have been made against, they go to court, they win the case, but the damage to their reputation, everything remain on the internet and in public minds forever. We were here when Ilan Tevanaba was narrating his story about how he was accused and all the media publication and when they went to the investigation, the state could not even go to court because they have found that there's really nothing. It's not true. But that allegation had been made against him. Media houses carried it. Today, if you Google his name on the internet, it will pop up. It will pop up. But nobody has followed that. The state has not come back to tell the public that the allegation was made against Ilan Tevanaba is false. So anybody who Googles that issue in the next 20 years, I will still think that Niante had done something wrong. And that is why we need to be careful when we are doing that. As I said, if anybody steals public money, I don't have sympathy for the person. The state must deal with the person. But I think the appropriate forum to deal with the person is to carry your case to court. All the things you are going to narrate at the press conference, if they are indeed factual, go to a court. Let the court do the pronouncement. And then when the court make the pronouncement, we will then come and discuss the court pronouncement. Or if the court has found this person guilty on this issue, then this is what we think. But I think we are invited to discuss these issues, and if we are not careful, we'll be making statements and be saying things that will further damage the reputation of the people. And then if tomorrow the person wins the case, we have already destroyed the person. National Service Scheme, this is not the first time people are being accused of doing something or doing things like this at National Service. And you see, I think the Attorney General, he should be, you see, it's a man I like so much. I've never met him before, but I listen to other lawyers talk about him. I look at how he does his work. Until he became Attorney General, I see him as somebody but the way he's doing things now, I'm afraid sometimes I'm scared. They asked him about A plus who has been accusing him. He said, oh, they are considering, they are having discussions with him about whether they want to use him as prosecution witness or something. You are prosecuting a corruption case, the person comes to level direct accusation against you, and now you are saying that you want to consider that person for prosecution witness. How do you expect the public to think? So if you are not come to the public to do all this announcement and had gone to court, and then in the court process you're using as prosecutor, there will be no public impugnment of your reputation in this matter. But for you to come and make allegation, and the person comes at you also make allegations against you, and then now you are turning to come and tell us that you are considering the person as public as what do you think the public who is listening to you to think? Are you not creating the impression for people to suspect?
Because there are those who
suspect that maybe because A plus made allegations against you, that's why you are now thinking you have to use him as a
there are those who argue that this public briefings is important. That is important you update the public and carry them along, because if you do not do so, justice may be procured.
Procured by who? Procured by who? And if it's procured, who said that if the case goes through this public announcement, if justice will be procured, it cannot be procured? Says who? Some of these perceptions people are bringing, that is why the judicial system and everything will have a problem. As I said, the AG himself should be careful, because his own reputation is at stake. Because if you are doing public press conferences, your utterances and things could hurt you. In the dropping of the major cases that they came to meet, one of the things said that he consulted the lawyers of the people being prosecuted. So if I'm being prosecuted, or I have a client being prosecuted, and an AG comes and says, oh, do you think I have to prosecute this person or I should drop the case? Do you think I should tell that continue to prosecute the person? So for him to tell us publicly that he consulted the lawyers of the people being prosecuted, I think that the kind of things he's saying at some of these press conferences, he should sit back, or he need communication people, experts to sit back and be advising him and say, look, what you are doing, you may think you are carrying the public along, but if you are not careful, at the end of the day, the damage you cause to your own reputation as AG, you may never be able to repair it. Because if you tell me that you are dropping major corruption cases being tried before your party came to power, and as part of the processes to drop the case, you consulted lawyers of the people that are being prosecuted. And how do you expect the public who is listening to you to think about you?
But same public has the right to information.
I'm saying that you, the person, say, what do you think them to think about you? The public is not banned from having information. Information goes to the court. Once you file the court, it becomes public information. Yeah. If a journalist is interested, goes to pick the information, want to publish, it can publish. I'm saying that this media trial that are going on, he as an AG himself needs to be very mindful, because the potential damages it could cause to his reputation. I'm pointing two things to him. That you said you were dropping major cases, and as part of the process, you consulted lawyers of the people being prosecuted. Anybody who is sitting back there listening, how can the AG say he has consulted people who have been prosecuted in order to drop a case? In my right sense, if I'm a lawyer defending somebody in court, and a AG says, me, I'm a new government, I'm a new AG, I'm a new AG, I want to ask you, do you think that I should continue prosecuting your client or not? You expect me to say, I should say no? So that statement itself, if people sit by and begin to analyze it and ask questions, it has some reputational issues for him.
Right.
And for him to also come and say National Service and MP has been involved, the MP has taken a bribe, that was the words he used. And then the person who suspected him came at you and leveled serious corruption allegations against you. And now you are asked, what is the status of the investigation in terms of that MP. And I tell you, you are having discussion with the person to see whether you can use him for prosecution witness. And if you come and tell the person who is sitting back that so the person, because the person accused you, now you are thinking of making prosecution witness. Why will you take that decision? If will you take the same decision if the person are not level accusation against
that you are covering up your own.
So you see the reputational damage to himself, based on some of these releases, some of this press conference, I think he needs an expert communication to tell him that, look, AG, focus on your prosecution. If you convict people, Ghanaians will clap for you. We are not going to clap for you today because you are giving a press conference. If we clap for you today and you go to court and lose the case, the damage that you suffer will be bigger than the claps we are giving to you. And I don't believe in situations where you are doing investigations, so you want to be giving people updates and all these press conferences. Look, as I said, if those allegations are found to be true against the people, they are serious allegations. This is public money, and there's no way I will sit here and say somebody misapply public money and I'll come and defend the person. But I think that those people too, they are Ghanaians and human beings, and they should be given the right to go to court. And you heard the former sports minister who said people should just ignore whatever they say. And he believes that if you have held public office, you should be ready for accountability. He's ready to go to court to prove himself. Assuming without admitting that he goes to court and indeed wins. Look at all the press conferences, his name being mentioned, and the damage that would have been done to his reputation before going to court. So I think that my advice to the AG, that he himself, his reputation, and the kind of reputation that will come when cases are decided by the court, wherever way it goes, he should rather stick to going to the court, get the convictions, and then we clap for him. But this clap that he's seeking for before going to court, if he's not careful, the turn of events in court could become some. And see, you made a statement about procurement. If you are not careful, your actions could also damage the judiciary. Because if you are come to create the impression to the public as if the person have already been convicted by you, and then they go to court and they win, then that suspicion that you are raising that procure judgment then comes to mind. People say, but the AG made us to believe that the people were guilty. How did the judges clear them? So you also created a reputational crisis for the judiciary. Probably you lost the case genuinely, but because you already made the public to believe that the people are already guilty before going to court, if they go to court and the evidence shows that, well, maybe what you found, there are loopholes, and this is criminal prosecution. With the least doubt, you lose your case. And if it happens that way, it's not only the agent that get damaged, but the judiciary and the judges who will be sitting on this case, who may now look at the evidence and say this person is not guilty, will now be accused of all kinds of things because the agent has already created a platform for that.
Ibrahim, I mean, we'll look at the allegation itself, but then also, I mean, from where Elvis ended. So we'll look at it from that end as well. Whether the AG in his defense insists these disclosures are for transparency and not political reasons. But there are those who argue that it's as though the AG is on a path to convict people in the court of public opinion. Your thoughts on this?
I respectfully disagree.
With which of the arguments?
I disagree that it's to court public opinion. I'm in favor of the transparency that is going on.
Very well.
For us to really succeed as a nation, sometimes we have to remove the doubts that there's a political maneuvering. Some may say, but Ibrahim, you're being naive. Clearly there's a political maneuvering here. I would want to indulge in my naivete, and I'll explain why I say so. 2013 to 2014, Alhaji Alassane Imoro, the former NSS director, was convicted of the same ghost names there. This was under an NDC government. Now, I can't sit here, 2025, when in 2014 I was supporting the evidences that came to fore. Initially, it was charged with 86.9 million cedis for ghost name. The same thing. He involved the directors, the regional directors. They would create the false names, the fake names, ghost names, send payments to the vendors. Then they would, through the same process, those regional executives and directors will then come and give him the money back. In July of 2014, Alhaji Moro, Mohammed Moro, he earned being in speech marks, quotation marks, 7.9 million cedis in that 1 month. Other calculations, I'm talking, this is 2014, not my calculations. Other calculations per his charge put around 548 million cedis. The numbers are starkly similar. So I'm answering your question, Nana. If I was so vociferous defending Ghana's interests, then why should I water down my submission today? Why should I? why should I say that then the transparency under that NDC government, it was an NDC government, John Mahama was president when this happened in 2014. Now the same thing has happened. What should I do? Should I keep quiet? Should I say that, no, we should wait until we go to court and let the evidence come out? No, you want that transparency so we can follow due process. In law, it happens that there are indeed not only miscarriages of justice, Nana, but some people are wrongfully accused. I can sit here knowing Alhaji Mustafa Yusuf, the former NSS director and minister of sports, and this is my own personal relationship with him. He is above reproach in this one. That's me.
You're convinced?
Mike, I'm convinced, 100%. 100%. 100%. And if you notice, the Attorney General was not going into details regarding his, he just mentioned his name. There, Elvis is right. At least come with some facts before you mention my name.
Right.
That notwithstanding, it happens across board, okay? But the evidences, when I say evidence, the information that the Attorney General has given regarding Gifty, Wari Mensah, and then Asibi, am I right? Is it Kwame Gacy? Osiasibi, and there was another one. Is it Gacy?
Yes, yeah.
The deputy of operations.
You know, then the other one from Kofridwa. I mean, he has detailed what went on, the accounts, is it the e-switch that they used, okay? And then again, the loan for 30 million cedis from ADB. And then he gave the details of the accounts, who are the signatories to the account. Gifty's name is there. Okay, I think her husband too is also inside there.
To one of the companies.
That kind of information, why should we say that information should be kept only for the courts? If indeed it will come out at the courts, share it now. Is it prejudicial? You know, in terms of the information is given, is not in any way per his submission. Saying because I've explained that the NSS director, I'm talking Gifty, took out a loan from Blocks of Life Consult. And what was the premise of the loan? Saying that they were going to procure household appliances for NSS staff who will then purchase on a piecemeal basis, hire purchase and what have you. It's just giving you information. That at least we can interrogate. On what basis, Gifty, did you do this? And indeed, did you roll out these things? He has not said that she's guilty of an offense. There, in that statement, he said, our investigation gave us the following information. What mandate did you have to take out that 30 million loan? Number one. Good, it's good to be innovative, I understand. Having done that, did the recipients apply? Were they give, you know, now we can ask those questions. All the Attorney General has
done. The actual work for which you secured or procured the loan done.
I'm all for innovation, you know that. Ways in which we can motivate, you know, the youth, in the base, and it's something that's entrepreneurial, it will yield to the benefit, why not? You know, especially if you can make sure that those items that are supposedly procured are either assembled in Ghana or made in Ghana. Okay, good. That is an opportunity for us to interrogate. I don't think in any way maligns Gifty, that section of it. But then the other areas, the e-switch accounts, the fake names,
the ghost names,
ghost names, thousands upon thousands over a period. Was it not Manasseh Azuri who first, is it Fourth Estate?
Fourth Estate.
So let's leave the AG out of this equation now. Are you trying to tell me the Fourth Estate, when they do an investigation, they shouldn't somehow bring it to the fore? When the same Manasseh Azuri informed us of the bribe that Jibril Sinaboye, name, from Burkina Faso.
From Burkina,
His name was Jibril.
Yes.
Unless
is this the Ford?
The Ford that was given to John Mahama then. Should he keep quiet? It's an investigation. And then the wall of the Ghana embassy at Burkina Faso, costing something like $100,000 for a wall. Dollars all. Should we tell Manasseh to keep quiet? We didn't. We praised him. Am I right?
Yeah.
Manasseh then did a report. The intel came. Should we tell him to keep quiet? The same Manasseh has done the same thing on Zoom Lion. A contract that is non-existent and you're still delivering services. So we need to be fair. When there are agents looking to help Ghana to correct certain excesses in our system. It's not the time for politics. If there's policy, you'll know it, and then you can attack it from a political point of view. If it's helping the nation, it's not the Attorney General who did the investigation. It's the Fourth Estate. So let's understand the chronology of how it got to the Attorney General. Saying that, oh, he's naming names and what have you. Beyond the names, you know, the transparency is there. It's like saying to Fourth Estate, you shouldn't name names. But he's an investigative journalist.
Yeah.
So somehow, if we're talking on the A+ one, that one I can agree with Elvis. But on this one here, it's something that we have to look at collectively and dispassionately. We all say we want Ghana to succeed. Unless we deter those who work in the against interests of Ghana, then we're fooling ourselves.
Very well.
Before we came on, I was asking Elvis just to remind me, because that's his area, he's a journalist. What happened to Elijah Moro's case? I said, was he incarcerated? He said, no. The case went to courts, back and forth. He's still free. It's not for me to call for anybody's incarceration.
But I think there was some retrieval.
You see, I want to get to that point, Nana.
Yeah.
If we continue that, you can steal, but once you pay us back, you can go free. Then every murderer, every armed robber should continue. When we catch you, give the money and go free. What kind of plea bargaining are we doing? Plea bargain where you help the state. Yes, it's an incentive and an encouragement. Should be that we will reduce your sentence. Yeah. That's what I think plea bargaining should be. Instead of 10 years, we'll give you 5. Instead of 5 years, we'll give you 3. It's for the courts to decide. I'm just giving out some figures.
Right.
But the fact that people can give money back, and because you've helped us, for your reward, is that you won't be prosecuted to the point that you face jail, then Ghana, we should just pack up our bags, close shop, and ask Donald Trump for a visa, which he will refuse us. Are you getting me?
Right.
Good. There should be no plea bargaining to the point that you are scot-free. The reports we are reading is that they say they will return the quantum of 560 million cedis. So for all these years, what were you doing with that money? Just waiting for somebody to catch you? Yeah. So, Master, here's the money. And then there are also farms. The NSS owns farms, which is fantastic. I didn't know this. They own farms, they produce and they sell. Yeah. So Attorney General Ayine says they're now going to audit that area too. Fantastic. This is how Ghana succeeds. Administration upon administration, we have to be our own police, our own checks and balances. Yeah. Because what we've done, I'm talking President Akufo-Addo's administration, is fantastic. We have transformed Ghana, positively so. So where there are excesses, we should not somehow cover those ones because they came within or from our administration. Let's give credit to President Akufo-Addo where we have transformed Ghana. And those individuals who on their own whim, their own selfish capacity, and I'm not condemning gift to anybody yet, let the courts do that, but I'm just speaking generally, never defend the indefensible. It may make some people feel uneasy. If you're feeling uneasy, why? You know, I have this statement, Nana. You know when you're in a market and a child is just being rude to his parents. Yeah. I mean, just unruly. He's just going berserk. I'm talking a toddler. And the parent does not discipline that child. You know, you even forget the child, you are angry at the parent. What kind of discipline are you giving to your child? Am I right? Yeah. Now, same scenario, but the parent disciplines the child. Either a light tap or a strong warning. Pardon of your, stop what you're doing. Jai. Everybody now praises the parent. Am I right? Yeah. Because they know that you are a unit of our progress. For society to grow, all of us must work in the interests of the village. So when you raise your child well, he or she will grow up to be a responsible person. So we praise the parent that disciplines their child. Am I right? And we castigate the parent who fails to discipline their child within that public space. The same with administrations. Governments come and go. An administration must discipline those who fall foul of the law, regardless of favor. Are you following me? Yeah. This is how Ghana progresses. It sets the benchmark and it sets the rules that when, inshallah, you'll see it, administrations will change. And it will deter those people who think that getting into politics is a license to make money. When the majority are working breakneck speed to bleed and die for this country, as some of us do, we're into politics to add value to Ghana, not to take from Ghana. Those are the unsung heroes.
Very well.
We are working for Ghana, but those who would somehow tarnish our effort, don't save them because they belong to your party administration. If anybody's NDC today is defending Alhaji Imoro, they need to be whipped. If anybody's, because he's been convicted.
Yeah.
Or you want to defend said Namtamaklo, Maslock, who is now a convicted felon. Once she arrives in Ghana, she'll go into jail. You need to be whipped if you're defending said Inam. Because the courts have found them guilty, the both.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Now, this one, the courts have yet to determine. But I'm saying that let us be fair to the reality. Don't defend if it's in the interest of against Ghana. Let the law work. The courts are there. Ayini, as Attorney General, has given his evidence. No, his evidence.
Right.
Those who have been alleged to have been part of this will also give theirs. Right. And then we will determine the reality on the day. But for Ghana to succeed, we need discipline across board.
Very well. Right, thank you. You're watching Breakfast Daily here on Channel One Television. I'll take a break here. When we come back, we read some of your messages and then we continue the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right. Thank you for staying with us. You're welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel One TV. We're having the news review segment. I'll take a few of your messages and then we continue the conversations. This one says, good morning. Please tell Elvis that we, the citizens, are okay with the AG. He cannot direct AG on what to do. He can only do the talking. All right. This one says, what at all is wrong with the NSS Secretariat? In 2014, Alhaji Alhassan Imoru, then Executive Director of the National Service Scheme, and 36 others were charged with stealing 86.9 million cedis through fraudulent payments to ghost service personnel. In 2015, the BNI retrieved 30 million cedis from some of the accused individuals, which was part of the stolen funds. What happened to the case? Today, another one is in. President Mahama should go back in the docket to deal with both cases. It is in Ghana's money, or it is Ghana's money and not for any party. The woman, if found guilty, must face the law squarely. No communicator will entertain what you describe as pen robbers. You put that in quotes. This is from Master Planner Jr. from Kentampo. Elvis, final take on this NSA scandal, and then we'll move on to other issues.
I'm saying that deal with the scandal. And Ibrahim made the issue of Fourth Estate and attorney. They are two different entities. The media has no power to prosecute anybody. So the media, all you do is when you do your investigation, you find out, put it in the public. That is the limit of the media. So nobody will say media going to do an investigation about so the person shouldn't mention the name or not. No, we as media don't have the power to prosecute anybody. So our last resort is to publish what we have found. So media has the right to publish anything it found. But the AG's duty is to prosecute people. So the mandates are different. So I'm only saying that I would prefer an AG that will do investigations, go to court, and then when the case is called in court and the media decide to follow and report to the public, I would prefer that method of getting information to the public than the AG himself coming to stand in public and holding a press conference. The AG, as he said at the time of Alhaji Moro, the AG at the time was not holding press conferences. It was media that was publishing what was happening, not AG having a press conference telling the public what has happened. But through the same media, we got to know everything that has happened at the NSS through the media and at the Alhaji Moro era. So I'm only saying that let's AG focus on its main mandate of investigate and prosecute. Media's mandate is investigate and make it public to people to know what has happened. So I'm not saying that the media should not, I'm saying that I think the AG's mandate should be more of prosecutorial. We, the media, will get the story from the court. I don't think
the AG's reneging on that mandate.
We, the media, will get story from the court. I'm saying that there are damages to, and I've mentioned too, to his own personal reputation. And I've also told you the potential damage for the judiciary. The potential, see, we are just looking at it that we are getting information, but the potential damage for the when the agent says that this is a criminal enterprise. Assuming without admitting, I don't know the outcome of the case, I don't have, and it goes to court and the agent loses the case. What do you want the ordinary person that you have told that this is a criminal enterprise to think of the judiciary if the person wins the case in court? So it is not only about the AG. It's also about confidence in the judicial system.
Right.
In one way, you think that giving information to the public is a way of engendering confidence. But in another way, if you go to court and those cases do not stand the test of evidence and you lose them, the damage you are causing to people, innocent judges will now be accused of selling justice to people because the AG said this is a criminal enterprise. How did the judge say that the case is not good enough to jail somebody?
But we also know that the final judgment of commission does not lie within the powers of the AG.
That is what I'm saying.
If the AG says
no, that is what the damage is. The ordinary person is not interested in what you are saying. The ordinary person's interest is that the AG says this is a criminal enterprise. So the expectation of the ordinary person that these people must go to jail. Because the AG has made a pronouncement that they are criminal enterprise.
But
so they must go to jail.
I think you're simplifying it. An ordinary person will know that regardless of what the AG says, the matter has to go to court.
No, that is what I'm telling you, that when Neil Antipantapon mentioned his story here, who knows the outcome of the case? But today, anybody can say, oh, Neil Antipantapon, by the time my NDC lost the election in 2016, oh, he was accused of corruption. And if you Google it, will be online there.
Good. Neil Antipantapon could have fought that and have it same thing.
Why do you have to take the person to that stress? When you can wait for the right authority to make pronouncement. I'm saying that, look, we should look at both sides of the coin. In one way, the AG may think that I'm giving the public information, but the unintended consequence of what he's doing is that in the event that he goes to court and loses the case, now ordinary people now can now wake up and say, did the judge collect money? Because the AG said these people have engaged a criminal enterprise. So where did the case go? Okay, for instance, as you talk about Gifty say that he's buying something for national service people and all that. This Assembly's common fund. The common fund sits in Accra and use the allocation for assemblies to buy equipment for them and deduct it from their allocations. Will somebody go to court that's a criminal enterprise? The national service people, they have
an established.
They have an allowance. They have an association.
Does the administration have the authority?
That's what I'm telling you. That
is it not the difference here?
Listen,
Gifty made these
the common fund law does not give
the
common fund law does not give the common fund administration any that authority. But if they discuss with the assemblies and they say we need the equipment, they say, well, then we will buy it for you. There's nothing wrong.
Is the equipment bought
the
for
national
them?
Yes.
Then that's it.
That's what I'm saying. If the National Service Authority Secretary, the National Service, they have an association.
Right.
What if it turns out that the association sat with the secretary and said, these things that they want to buy, we want it, so we want to sign a memorandum that we are asking you to use our service allowance to buy these things for us. I'm not saying anything like that exists. Right. I'm only saying that, you see, the potential of reputational damage for the judiciary in the event that all these pronouncements are made and the case goes to court, and in the event
that the case is lost,
the
AG loses the case.
The potential damage to the judiciary is also big, and we should also consider that yes, the AG may be doing something that will be getting clapping for today, but what if tomorrow the case goes to court? And people say, but the AG has already said these people are criminals. They've engaged in criminal enterprise. And how can a judge now let people involved in criminal enterprise go scot-free? We have to be careful. Look, the Auditor General report, the Auditor General has gone to say, this person has done this. People went to court. It's an official report presented to Parliament. Media carried it. They went to court and challenged the Auditor General, and they won. The winning of the case is nowhere in the media space. But the Auditor General report, which is a public document, is everywhere that this company has done something wrong. I'm saying that we all want justice. As I said, I will not entertain anybody who has stolen public money. Because they are privileged to be given the opportunity among hundreds of thousands of qualified people in their party who could serve the nation. You were the one that was selected to come and serve. It's a privilege. So if you come and use that position to enrich yourself at the expense of the taxpayer, the law must deal with you.
Thank you.
But in that process, we should also be mindful of the fact that the way we go about it could have unintended consequences that could also erode confidence in the judiciary, even though the judiciary is not the one who has come to do a press conference.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you. Ibrahim.
I need another bite on this one. The Attorney General is the government's lawyer. Am I right?
Yeah.
Good. Imagine a situation where a shopping center, some staff members are stealing from there. They caught them on CCTV. That shopping center engages its lawyer, to prosecute the case. Its lawyer. And in the media space, that lawyer says that what we have witnessed amounts to a criminal enterprise. This is before the court, before the court proceedings. But he or she, the lawyer, has every right to say that from what they are seeing, the staff members are engaging in a criminal enterprise. It's for the courts to determine. The fact that the lawyer has said it's a criminal enterprise doesn't mean the judge too will then say, because the lawyer said, come on.
The judge will look at the
and you were right when you were rolling or walking Elvis back on his statement. That the judge is the judge. There's nothing to stop Ayine, Honorable Attorney General, from saying that what they're seeing is a criminal enterprise. I don't think that's any way prejudicial, because even in court, he is the government's lawyer. So let's say the court date arrives, Bieshe, at the court, and the Attorney General says that, Your Honor, my Lord, what we are saying for XYZ in a submission is a criminal enterprise.
For his investigation, that's what he thinks. So it's up to him to go and defend him in court.
All. So whether he says it in court, which will be captured, you know, the stenographers are there. As you talk, they type, and we have the public record. Elvis and his colleagues will be there. So whether he says it now, or 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks later in court, as the government's lawyer, and his submission is telling the judge, this from our deduction is a criminal enterprise. How does that somehow impugn on the reputation of the judges? That because I've said it, now you have to let them go free, or you have to incarcerate them? No, the two are
entirely different.
Totally different. Totally different. So I beg to differ with Elvis on that particular one. You know, I mentioned earlier, because I know him personally, I'm talking Honorable Yusuf.
Mustafa Yusuf.
Yeah. He is above, for me, again for me, above reproach. Totally. I've worked with him on Africa Games, and the guy is meticulous. So I'm just giving my... So the fact that you mentioned the name, had he mentioned his name, and has he done with Gifty, and Asebi, and the rest, said that, then we can look back and say, okay, let's look into the matter. But the Attorney General mentioned his name, and nothing else was behind it. So there I agree with Elvis.
So for someone like that, you should be worried about the reputational damage to him.
Yes, because if you're not going to give us a substance, don't give us the soup. We want the meat to go with the soup.
Right.
And on that particular one, the Attorney General failed. Failed in telling us, why have you mentioned his name? Just mention it. Oh, check back again. It's not wrong. It's not right. You get me? And because I know him, I can speak from a personal point of view. But take my personality or my personal relationship with the Honorable Yusuf out of it, and then say, you mentioned his name. And so, why? Because you mentioned all the others, and you mentioned Israel, directors, companies, loans, all manner. You know, so you've given us something to chew on. You know, Jibril Kanazoe, that's the guy's name.
Kanazoe. Yeah.
When he gave the bribe to John Mahama, he came with facts. I'm talking Manasseh. Likewise, Sedam Kamaklo. I received the petition in my office as Assistant Secretary to the President at the time. So I have first-hand knowledge of the evidence against Sedam. I don't want to divert the thing, but I'm just saying that, you know, sometimes when you are seized with the facts, you can speak confidently on certain personalities or the issues, and let the courts have determined so. Likewise with the Lajimura, as our country reader, our viewer contributed. So on this one, I beg, I want to add my submission here to say that I do not see, notwithstanding throwing Honorable Yusuf's name without adding anything to it, anything wrong in the transparency that we are witnessing here.
Right.
And I would urge Ghanaians, this is my personal point of view, let's not allow this plea bargaining to allow people to go free. If you're helping the state and you've shown remorse, yes, we can reduce your custodial sentence. We need to have a deterrence. Do you think that it's only across administration? Is it only NSS where there's fraud? It's cuts across.
Right.
Cuts across administrations, cuts across sectors. Unless and until we do the right thing. I'm not saying China is corrupt-free. And I'm not saying that we should do, what do you call it, the death penalty for corruption.
Right.
I'm not arguing for that. But you find that China, the corruption is somehow
minimal.
And we want to really build Ghana, build Africa. And sometimes you need, important men make impossible decisions, or important people make impossible decisions. And the decisions that we need to make are to make sure that we do the right thing in the interest of Ghana and not individuals.
Very well. Let's move on. The GRA has frozen the Doomsday levy again. Implementation was scheduled to start somewhere last week, I think on the 12th. Yes. And then was postponed to allow for further engagements to the 16th, which is today. We're being told that it's been postponed again. We do not have a date yet. Ghana Revenue Authority, I'm reading from ChannelOneNews.com, has postponed the implementation of the revised energy sector shortfall and debt repayments levy, which was initially scheduled to take effect on June 16, 2025. This decision follows a directive from the Minister of Finance after consultations with key industry stakeholders. It goes on to, it tells us issued, goes on to say the new tariff order would have resulted in an increase in levies on selected petroleum products as part of government's efforts to address shortfalls and debts in the energy sector. So basically the news is that the implementation of what has become known as the D-levy, the Doomsday levy, has been postponed again. We're hearing attribution to Israel, Iran. I don't know what you make of this, Elvis. Could this be it? And then, of course, the argument on the other side that said, hey, you chastise us for attributing our economic challenges to Russia, Ukraine. So don't even go near Israel, Iran.
Oh, it's just, see, politicians will do things for political gains. There's no way any country in the world
Typical
can
of them,
say it's an island and therefore global geopolitical issues cannot affect you. The NDC has been smart. Now they have adopted the global geopolitical issues instead of using specific Russia, Ukraine. And I think that was a smart communication because they said, no, you can't attribute the problems of Ghana to Russia-Ukraine war. So they can't just also come and be repeating the same thing that they have impact on us.
Right.
So what they did is communication-wise, they are smart to say, okay, let's say geopolitical concerns and issues. So if you look at all the reports from Finance Ministry, Bank of Ghana and the rest, they are not specifically referring to
Israel,
the specific issues. They will refer to geopolitical issues. But the truth of the matter is that it's the same thing that they are all saying. Geopolitical issues can be broken down to specific issues. But they realize that they politicize that and use it for political advantage, so they should not use it. But this one, they were caught unawares, just like global geopolitical issues, you can't predict them.
Right.
Truth of the matter is that if one Ghana cedi had been added, it will increase the price of fuel. Now, we see clear that the Russia-Ukraine, the Israel-Iran war, Iran alone is responsible for about 3.3 million barrels of oil, about 9% of the world demand for a day, and they export over 2 million of it. The strikes from Israel is targeting Iran's oil infrastructure, so they are destroying some of these things. And therefore, obviously, there will be demand and supply issues. So obviously, there will be a drop. So Friday, if you look at the global market, oil prices rose about 7% immediately on last Friday. Even this morning when the markets opened, I just read, oil prices spiked heavily this morning as well, but it's like it's retreating back to a certain point. But truth of the matter is that oil that used to be about 60, 65 something, as of Friday, oil is about $74 per barrel for Brent. And this is just the beginning of what is happening, okay? In the Russia-Ukraine war, oil prices rose above $100. Oil prices per barrel rose above $100. And oil is a global commodity that is traded on a global platform. So whether you are producing it yourself or you are exporting, the price is the same. So it will definitely affect you. So I think that economic-wise for the ordinary Ghanaian, it's a wise decision to say, let's not implement. Because if we do it now, the joy of we have reduced the pain of Ghanaians will just vanish in thin air within a minute. Because what is happening is, if it continues, and let's say by the end of the week, oil gets to about $80 per barrel and stays and keep going up, it means that for the next 2 weeks, where the next pricing window will come up. The oil importers that are bringing will factor that into their price, and obviously the price of fuel products will go up. And then you are adding 1 cedi per liter to that as well. Obviously, to shoot the price of oil probably to levels that they were before NSA came to power, which obviously will immediately erode everything that the cedi appreciation.
So it's time to re-strategize our energy policies, actually. We cannot continue importing refined products.
You see, energy globally is what drives the whole world.
Yeah.
And there's a global shortage of energy everywhere. And this is what you understand. The producing countries of oil, their economy is solely dependent on oil. So when global forces force them to reduce price of oil for economic recovery globally, they are also not happy because it affects their budget.
Exactly.
Today, from Friday to today, all producing countries will be smiling because there's a windfall profit from the prices before Israel and Iran started, because then the 7% increment is additional revenue that they had not planned, because projected wise, they are projected maybe oil will be around $65 throughout the year. Then all of a sudden it goes to 74. So it means that those countries that are producing oil, all of a sudden are going to get some additional. For them, it's good for them. Though it's hurting the rest of the world, for them it's good for their economy. So the point is that so long as there is a global shortage of energy in the world, the challenge is that any small trigger in the area of energy affects everybody, because every country in the world depends on energy to move. So whether we like it or not, we must understand that until we look locally and trying to find solutions to a lot of our problems, this thing that we are on there, as we speak, you don't even have energy in terms of, say, security stocks that maybe America and the rest. If there is no oil produced in the world today, America can still, based on their security stocks, maybe for a year or two, still operate without a problem. Ghana, our strategic stock, which is supposed to be bought, has nothing. We have turned it into a container that stores oil for private importers. So if in 2 weeks there's any problem, and when you look at the story that I read, it says that there's this strait through where a lot of ships pass through. For now, it's like it's not even affected by what is happening. If Iran decides to now begin to shoot into that area where ships that carry oil and there's supply disruptions, we may even suffer. We may even queue for crude fuel products in this country.
What I was trying to ask Elvis earlier is the fact that, I mean, our oil is lifted, and then we have to spend about 400 million USD monthly to bring refined or finished products back. Is it time to re-strategize our policy? It's now more or less a warehouse, so that we can refine some of our, because we are subject to the force of external shocks.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's important. I mean, somebody would say that's a no-brainer. What you said, Nana, before is perfect. It's about putting our priorities correctly and saying that we have the resource, so let's make sure now that we can refine the resource. We've had Tamor refinery even before we had commercial volumes of oil. You know, so let's do all the necessary. But again, it has to be cost effective, and I'm sure that when they crunch the numbers, they can say that for X we can achieve Y and make sure that we benefit from it. And it can be doable because it's over a period. Let's say, for argument's sake, it's going to cost us $1 billion to rehabilitate, you know, retrofit Tamor refinery. And then you work out over a period, how much will we save? So maybe after 5 years, we are break even. So in the 6th year, we are in profit. Better than always be cap in hand at the mercy of world prices. But understand something, it's not just about oil. It's about our energy consumption. Okay? And we need to change our energy mix. I mentioned it about 6-7 weeks ago here, that if we have small modular reactors, you remember?
I remember that.
These are nuclear reactors, but on such a smaller scale. They're about the size of your garage, but it's scalable. Now, 1,000 megawatts costs around $4.6 million, and you construct, and it's, you know, it's like a building block. You build one here, you attach another one, and so on and so forth. That and nuclear, I mean, it is, how can I call it? In terms of the inputs, 93% of France's energy is on nuclear. 93%. They have one of the highest densities of nuclear power stations. But those are the traditional ones, which can cost $20, $30 billion to construct. These ones, I just give them the figures, $4.6 million per 1,000 megawatts. Do the maths and you purchase accordingly. When we do that, then our reliance on imported crude, HFOs, heavy fuel oils, can be lessened, which then gives us more breathing space economically. Beyond that, when we can power our economy successfully and affordably, we will unleash so much energy, operative word, so much economic benefit. Because now areas which are being starved of electricity in terms of our economy are now being sustainably and affordably provided. You talk about wanting to do irrigation for agriculture. Irrigation requires a pump to move the water from point A to B. So you need power, electricity. Imagine having SMRs at these critical locations, providing energy to villages, cities, and towns. You know, for those who don't understand, let me just quickly explain something. Briefly. Nuclear submarines, they can stay underwater for 3-4 months at a time before they come up for air. Okay? I'm talking the nuclear ships, nuclear submarines. And they are powered by SMRs, small modular reactors. Where do you think they're not getting solar? It's not thermal. You know, so nuclear submarines, so it's that same technology from the 60s that has now been refined. So I'm just sending this out to both industry and government, that there are solutions that can help us to extract ourselves from the world oil market prices and what it does. But last sentence, that alone doesn't mean that we cannot be exposed to the excesses of these fluctuations. For example, shipping containers, the ships, they run on diesel. So when price goes up, the shipping lines charge more. They charge more to the importers and exporters. So no matter how we feel it, it's about adding our energy mix so that we can be in better control of the economy and how it affects us.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Ajay, former Assistant Secretary Office of the former President, Elvis Darko, news editor for the News Center newspaper, newscenter.com. I must say here that we were expecting Victor Dawudu to have joined us. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. Hopefully, we'll have him here next time. This has been the News Review segment on Breakfast Daily. I am Nanatu Boateng. Many thanks for your time. Stay with us. Breakfast Daily continues.